Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel here today to discuss about Impact Wrestling March 23rd, 2021 review. As I mentioned yesterday, I will be uploading this episode today. I will not be doing Ring of Honor Anniversary 19 until tomorrow. I'm going to do that, watch that pay-per-view tomorrow. Since I'm not going to have nothing to do Monday night anyway to begin with. So I will definitely be going ahead and uploading that video tomorrow to discuss about how the results went and how the show was. Here today to just discuss the Impact Wrestling March 23rd episode. This was not all that big of a deal. I mean, if you missed it, who gives a shit? Only thing that was important was the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega and Don Callis' promo. Main event had Eddie Edwards and Carl Anderson one-on-one. Carl Anderson wins that match, actually, which was a good thing because, personally, he's part of a tag team, and they were heading into the Rebellion pay-per-view on April 24th, for the tag team titles, so they couldn't afford a loss here against Eddie Edwards. The match wasn't bad. It was a decent main event, but I didn't really consider it to be a main event spot. It was more of a mid-card match that was good. In my personal opinion, I didn't see it as the type of main event I would want on my show. But it wasn't a bad match nonetheless. The match that kickstarted the show was Deonna Purrazzo versus Jazz. This was not all that entertaining whatsoever. Again, like I've said before in previous reviews, Jazz is not all that impressive to me anymore. She used to be. But let's face the facts, she is old, and I do give her a break on that, but she doesn't need to be in a wrestling ring, in my personal opinion. So we go backstage. Eddie Edwards tells the Good Brothers to leave guys in the back alone. As they walk away, they stand face-to-face with Decay. Tonight, Edwards will square off with Carl Anderson in a singles match, as I already mentioned. So we get Johnny Swinger promoting his Casino Palace, Johnny the Swinger Palace, which I think is absolutely retarded. Fucking dumb as shit. We have Rohit Raju finds Fallah Boss sleeping in some kind of tent, as if he lost all of his money from gambling from that place. And Ba admits that he's fallen on hard times gambling his money away at Swinger's Palace. Raji can't help but make fun of him for it, and Bala challenges him to a match, which, god-awful fucking match. I didn't even care for that. Next match on the card was the X Division Championship match with Ace Austin versus TJP. Very, very good matchup. Unfortunately, the ending wasn't, and I think this is going to stretch to another matchup between these two or lead to a triple threat match with Chris Bay, Ace Austin, and TJP competing for the X Division title, which I would not be against. I've already talked about this in previous episodes, stating that they should do a triple threat match, and the best way to do it is at Rebellion. That's what I would do. Plain and simple. Gia Miller sits down with Matt Cardona. This was actually a nice little promo by Matt Cardona. I was actually impressed. The reason he's in Impact is that he wants to compete with the best of the best. Gia wants to know why Brian Myers is so upset with him. Cardona thinks it's because Impact Management gave him a contract too. He wants to make it clear that he does not want to reform his tag team partnership with Myers. He's been there and done that. Cardona says if Myers wants to settle things, he should meet him in the ring. And that's pretty much that. He also mentions that Impact Wrestling yes, there may not be any glass ceiling. There's also no supportive system either, in the sense of like you getting a ton of money to do absolutely nothing. So if you're not getting anywhere in Impact Wrestling, you're not going to be able to take care of yourself financially. Impact Wrestling is not there to do that for you. They're there to pay you to do a job and do it the best of your ability, and if you can't, you sink or swim. That's pretty much the case. While he was not intentionally saying out loud that WWE is the place where there is a glass ceiling, but there's also the ability to make money while doing nothing. That was the point of that portion of the promo. Seeing these two guys, Brian Myers and Matt Cardona, in this type of program with each other, I don't really have a problem with. I think they would benefit more being a tag team, actually, and they could have a match one-on-one, earn each other's respect, shake hands, and move forward together as a tag team, because let's face facts, guys. I don't particularly think that Impact Wrestling has a very strong tag team division. I mean, if anything, Impact Wrestling could use some other tag teams from AEW, because AEW's got plenty of fucking tag teams that they can't utilize all of them on television. So maybe that would be a good idea, to bring some AEW tag team over to Impact Wrestling and let them compete for the Impact tag titles. But right now they got a nice program going on with Juice Robinson and David Finlay. So I'm not going to go ahead and shit on that yet, but once that program is over, they better find another tag team that's suitable enough to compete for the tag team titles, because right now they look like the WWE tag team division. It's pretty terrible. So that was that promo, and I thought it was very good. Trey Miguel is still fired up after his big loss against Sami Callihan last week. He kicks a bag, and Triple XL comes over and confronts him about it. Tommy Dreamer comes over to defuse the situation. He discusses about, why don't we make it hardcore justice, a barbed wire exploding death match where we can have sparklers flying all over the place and blah, blah, blah. Come on, Impact. What the fuck was that? Really, you gotta go ahead and take shots at AEW now? It's bad enough you take shots at WWE just to get some notoriety by your fan base and seem cool and funny. But let's get real. AEW is a far superior product than your shit. I mean, WWE may have a lot more money than Impact Wrestling, but there are times when Impact Wrestling produces better shows than WWE themselves, especially Monday Night Raw. God help us all with that shit. That is probably the worst fucking wrestling show I have ever seen in my life. Really, it is worse than WCW Nitro from 2000. It's fucking terrible. At least with Nitro in 2000... yeah, you got some unpredictability. You had title changes that took place that weren't necessarily needed, but it kept you on your toes. WWE, there's nothing surprising about WWE's Raw. They're shit. Rahit Raju went up against Fall Ball. Rahit Raju wins this matchup by grabbing the tights and getting the 1-2-3. And the way he won this match was absolutely terrible. God-awful match. Didn't give a flying fuck about this one. Gia Miller is right outside Kenny Omega and Don Callis' locker room. They come out and refuse to talk to Gia. And then AEW owner Tony Khan and AEW commentator Tony Schiavone return for another paid ad to promote this Wednesday's AEW Dynamite from TNT. And they go over the entire card. Kenny Omega and Don Callis were there. They actually got pissed off and walked away. They were like, what the hell are we even standing here for? We're not even getting paid to do this. Tony Khan says, I pay you guys. You're going to do this with me. But hey, whatever. I don't know. It was pretty fucking stupid. I don't even know why they had them there. So the Good Brothers go looking for Omega and Callis backstage. Too bad they weren't watching the show. Apparently they must not care either about this show, because they would have known that Omega and Callis were going to the ring to discuss about the match that's taking place at Rebellion. They can't get them to answer. They didn't know that Omega and Callis are already heading to the ring, as this is already stated by Wrestling Incorporated. Up next is Omega and Callis make their way down to the ring. This was actually a very good promo. Again, Don Callis is hitting it on all cylinders. A lot of emotion. There's one thing I am questioning here, is the fact that he's coming across as if he's trying to destroy his own product. Is this like some parody shot on Vince McMahon and like saying, hey, Vince McMahon's just sabotaging his own fucking product of WWE and alienating his fans and so forth, and pretty much not giving a flying fuck? Is that what this Don Callis character he's portraying on television is? Like, he's the new Vince McMahon of Impact Wrestling. He's trying to... He's like Roman. They do it for Roman, so they do it for Omega type of thing. I mean, I don't understand this bullshit. This is just absolutely insane. But, I mean, it's like Don Callis is playing a Impact Wrestling Vince McMahon type character on this show, where he's doing everything for Omega, draining the Impact Wrestling brand dry, and wants to have him beat everybody and bury everyone on his roster. Is there some kind of collusion here? Is there going to be a buyout? Is Don Callis selling his product over to Tony Khan, maybe? So he doesn't have to take responsibility? I don't even know really who owns Impact Wrestling at this point, and at this point, who cares? So, bottom line, I mean, the whole thing was entertaining. Kenny Omega was funny as hell. Him and Don Callis were coming across like Miz and Morrison, only in a cool way. They didn't come across like they were reading a script and sounding totally fucking retarded. They just sounded really goofy, and also like they were fucking pissed, and their intentions is to destroy Impact Wrestling from inside. So that's what I got from that promo, and it wasn't bad at all. I thought it was fucking entertaining as shit. And then the whole conversation about the one-wing angel being the move that Rich Swann is afraid of, which later on Rich Swann addresses in a backstage interview. After this segment, we get Gia Miller speaks with Havoc and Navia. I don't really care for this. I'm skipping this. This is bullshit. I didn't even pay attention to it. We had AC Romero versus Trey Miguel. Trey Miguel wins this matchup in a very unbelievable fashion. I mean, you got a guy that's over 300 plus pounds going up against a guy that weighs probably slightly under 200 pounds. I mean, it looks like he's probably 180, 190 pounds. Maybe just slightly over 200. I'll give him that much. But the match was not believable. It was good, but it wasn't believable. Especially the ending. Ace Romero and Larry D ambush Trey Miguel. All of a sudden, we see Sami Callihan in the middle of the ring appear. And he helps even the odds with Trey. Before Trey can comprehend what just happened, Callihan disappears. So, apparently we are getting some kind of formation of Sami Callihan and Trey Miguel, which I wouldn't be against. I don't know if you could put them together as a tag team at this point. But like I said, Impact Wrestling needs some tag teams. They used to have tag teams, now they don't. I don't know why. But whatever. So the Unified Impact World Champion, who is no longer carrying the TNA World title as well. You see him only carrying the Impact World Championship this week. Rich Swann is not intimidated by Kenny Omega and Don Callis' comments from earlier, and he's ready to prove them both wrong at Rebellion. He says, I'm not worried about the one-wing angel. Yeah, it's a tough move. It hurt like hell when I received it, but I have figured out ways to overcome that and how to counter it. So I'm prepared for this matchup. Going into Rebellion pretty much is what he was telling us in this promo. It was very good. Very entertaining stuff. Very solid, good stuff that he did here that I have no complaints about. We also get information by Scott D'Amore making an announcement that James Storm will be facing Eric Young one-on-one in the main event next week on Impact Wrestling for his 1,000th matchup in Impact Wrestling. So, and James Storm was also talking about how it's been being in Impact Wrestling and now getting his 1,000 matchup and being able to face Eric Young, and knowing Eric Young from the very beginning would be a pleasure for him to kick his ass and be his Huckleberry at next week's episode. And he said, sorry about your damn luck. And that was pretty much that. Like I said, there was nothing really highly entertaining about this show. I mean, there were some good things here and there, but nothing to cry home about. And as I already mentioned, Carl Anderson, Eddie Edwards was the main event. Carl Anderson, not Carl Edwards. Carl Anderson wins this matchup against Eddie Edwards with a little bit of help by Doc Gallows. He's placed to sit down in the middle of the match by David Hebner, which I don't understand why he didn't just kick him out. The announcers, D'Lo Brown and Matt Stryker, were both praising him for this, which I don't understand why. He was interfering in the middle of the match in the beginning, and they're praising him instead of kicking him out. He's letting him stay there and telling him to sit down in the chair. Yeah, he's going to sit down in the chair and not do a fucking thing for the rest of the match. What a dumb fucking move that was. That was one thing about this matchup I did not like. Who the fuck does that? You are interfering in the match. You have taken you've taken the liberty to get physically involved in this matchup, and the referee's going to allow you to still stay out there and tell you to sit in a fucking steel chair. That made absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. Complete utter garbage from them, from Impact Wrestling on their part by making this bonehead decision. I thought it sucked, but it is what it is. But Carl Anderson did win this match, which was the right decision since they are going into Rebellion challenging for tag team titles. You don't want your former tag team champions losing to a singles wrestler who doesn't really have an all that important storyline program going on for him. Going into this pay-per-view so far. So him taking a loss will not hurt him in any way, especially when he's just a singles competitor. So I don't really have any issues with this. But yeah, that was pretty much the show as a whole. Like I said, this was not one of the better Impact Wrestling episodes I've seen in the past. But there were some good things about it, and there were some really boring and bullshit things that also occurred during this episode I didn't particularly care for either. So at this time, guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely get back to you on that. And I thank you very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.